Welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Angelika Christie, your show host of the show Your Radiant Life After 45, Skills for Healthy, Happy, and Prosperous Women. I believe in a world where women are cherished and thrive because the world needs your light. I help you discover and live your unique gifts confidently and with pride. So with over 25 years of professional experience as a naturopathic doctor specializing in healthy aging, and as a lifestyle and relationship coach, I share my heart and my knowledge with my vast personal experience. If this sounds good to you, be my guest here every week on this day, Saturdays, at this time. Okay, for Eastern time, it is 3 o'clock Eastern time. Whatever time this is in your time zone, you have to figure that out. So anyway, let's begin. Today, I want to talk about why we must prepare for death, and also what we can do to give ourselves the best chance to live a long and healthy life. I want to start with the importance of being prepared for the ultimate event, your or your spouse's death. We know that we must die, yes? I mean, this is not a choice, but an unavoidable reality. I know that sometimes we believe things, disasters, death, and all of this only happens to others. And we forget that we are part of this whole tapestry of life, the circle of life, yes? And yet, in the Western world, we not only don't like to speak about death and dying, but also very often ignore that we must prepare. We must be prepared. I know I was not prepared at all when I was younger. Even up to in my 50s, I got a wake-up call when my father died too early at age 64. But then it was such an event that was out of the ordinary that it didn't really stick with me, how fragile life is. Because really, I had not experienced it, not within my family and friends, other than with my father. Oh, yes, old people. I knew old people died, and yeah, and even younger people died in accidents, or if they contracted a life-threatening disease. But nobody that I knew personally had died up to that point, about 26 years ago. And as a child, I did not understand what it really meant to my grandfather when my grandmother died. And I did not understand what it meant to my grandmother on my father's side when her husband, my grandfather on my father's side, my father's father, passed away. Those events seemed removed from my life in some way. I do not remember having been at any of their funerals. I believe that my parents wanted to protect me and my siblings from something so somber. My siblings, I have a 2-year older sister and 2 brothers that are younger. Anyway, when my life became very busy, because it all started when I really had my first child, and I had it early in my life. I was 20, almost 21. And then I had 2 more children at age 28 and 30. And since my pregnancies were a breeze, death never entered my mind. I also never thought that anything could be wrong with my pregnancy or with my children, that they could, something could happen there. And then I left Germany and I got divorced and I married again at the age of 34. And then I had 2 additional children. And again, it was a breeze and no thoughts of disease or death entered my mind. But I noticed that after I moved from Germany to the Bahamas, I followed my soulmate and he was a Bahamian man. So I still live in the Bahamas. Got divorced from my soulmate and married him again. But that is a totally different story. Today, we want to talk about something much more somber, I guess, but it is important. And I want to share something with you, a story that I just emerged from. But anyway, I noticed that after I moved from Germany to the Bahamas, that death announcements were a very normal and regular thing in the local newspaper, in a special edition every Thursday. And I also noticed how many younger people were in the funeral edition, like men and women in their 30s and 40s. So many of them passed away. It didn't always say what it was, but I think some, of course, probably accidents, but many of diseases. And only the occasional really, really old person was listed. And I called really old 90 and up. And I guess these women would live on away from the city. Well, in the Bahamas, you don't have big cities anyway. You always have this fresh air. But in other family islands, you have a lot of the older way of living healthy, from the land, from the ocean, from the sea. That's the ocean, and their little patch of soil in their backyard where they grew, their produce and all of the amazing fruit trees, and not to even mention the coconut. The coconut is so prevalent here, and so there are so many coconut trees everywhere, and they of course are so very healthy. But anyway, so as long as I did not really look into this obituary edition, and none of my family members and friends had died, death was not at all on my mind, not at all. Now, since I am married to an attorney, my house is in order, so to speak, at least from a legal point of view, because he takes care of it. And of course, he did a will and adjusted it a few times, a will for him. I have not made my will yet, and my husband is on my case to do this sooner than later. And I understand this now better than at any time before, because he is correct. I just have been either lazy or avoiding it for some unconscious reason, but I have been pushed into consciousness by an event, because I got a real wake-up call when I visited my sister about 2 months ago, and she lives in another country, and I don't want to say which one it is, so that I can speak freely about my sister. And we had not seen each other in more than a decade. My sister used to be a real celebrity, a top photo model with Eileen Ford, which is, the top agency in New York. I believe it's still so, because it was a while ago. And I always envied her because she had this glamorous life and was free to travel the world. And she wasn't only concerned about her enjoyment and her beauty. Back then, even top models did not make the money they make today. But she did very well. well enough to retire with her husband in a beautiful country with the best climate and relatively low cost of living. No, that's not the Bahamas. And she has no children, never had children of her own, and therefore never really knew how to live when you have somebody else to care for beside yourself. And so she has always been the glamour and the celebrity. And I was the one, her younger sister, with big family, with all of these children, 5 children and 10 grandchildren now. Now, my sister, as I said, is 2 years older than I am. So, we are both up there in age and should think about our health and what life will look like if diseases or deaths should create a major change in our life. I was just so surprised when I learned that she did not have her things in order because she relied on her husband to do everything that involved paperwork, taxes, and, everything that involved, I guess, paperwork. Yes. Her husband got very ill. I think it was only 2 years ago. And it was up and down with him until it was pretty certain that he was on his way out. And his physician said the same thing. But my sister would really not accept it. But she was holding on to the belief that he would get better and be able to leave the 24-hour around care where he had to be, and that he would be home soon. So she left everything for him to do when he would come back. And then it happened. Her husband, my brother-in-law, died 4 days ago. I mean, really, from today's date, 4 days ago. And my sister was, and still is, in shock. I wrote so many messages to her, so many emails pleading with her before, when he was still in palliative care, when he was still living, to spend quality time with her husband, happy time, maybe reminiscing about the beautiful life they had, the countless travels and adventures they experienced together. But she did not do that. She only complained that he should be home with her and not in bed there in care, where she had to drive, even though it was close to her home, but where she had to drive to visit him. You may ask, why am I sharing this personal story with you? Because maybe this taught me so much. And I want to make you aware of the fact that life is not guaranteed to anybody beyond the unknown day and date and time of day when you and I and everybody takes their last breath. So my question is, how prepared are you? How prepared are you for such an event? No matter if you are only in your 40s now. I mean, this show is 45 and over, so I don't believe you would be really young, like in your teens or in your 20s or in your 30s. But maybe in your 40s, 50s, or maybe even 60s. Let me tell you, I am in my 70s, as you probably know. And I still must prepare better. Not only that I need to make my will and all of this, but I also have already made, because this was a wake-up call for me, I made another commitment to my health. And this is the second part of this episode. because it is so easy to let it go, to eat what you desire to eat, because it's all there, it's all available so readily, in such abundance, in such overabundance. You know, and I have this thing that sometimes if I have ice cream in my freezer, not every night, but very often I go, before I go to bed, maybe at 11 in the night or so, and I have ice cream. How bad is that? And I know it's bad. And when we get older, we also must push ourselves to be more active. And with that, I'm not talking about active on your computer or being, busy, but being active by challenging your physical body with active movements, with brisk walks outside, with weight-bearing exercises. And those don't have to be dumbbells, but that could be your own weight, even against the wall. That is already weight-bearing. And you must do this every day, if not every day, but, almost every day, so that your muscles do not atrophy. At least not atrophy more than maybe 20 or 30%, because I know that it's almost impossible to hold on to the very well-developed muscles that maybe you had in your 20s and 30s. If you trained and built your biceps and triceps, oh yes, they look so nice on women, on us women. They look nice, yes. I mean, yes. And what about that booty? Yes, your behind should not go flat and flabby, just as your arms and inner thighs can be improved with the correct weight-bearing exercises. And did you know that your brain needs you to train your muscles? Yes. It is well known now, scientifically proven, that Alzheimer's and dementia can be prevented or lessened in severity if you are pushed, further into your much older age. If your genes are prone to dementia and Alzheimer's, you should really pay attention and do all of this. Stay away from sugar, exercise your muscles. I mean, there is so much, and I will dedicate a whole episode just on that. But that's not going to be today. We don't have that much time. And I want to get a couple of other things across. Of course, there are always exceptions. I know of at least 2 women. I didn't know them very well, but I know of them because they wrote about their story. I think one was a psychologist. So you can imagine, if a psychologist loses her brain, her memory, I think it was actually triggered by a TIA or by a stroke. And very often something can be left from that affects your ability to think, to be coherent, to be sharp. But of course, Alzheimer's, dementia and Alzheimer's is rising. It is on the rise. And I believe it is very much connected to the lifestyle we have. Of course, sometimes it's in the genes. But even for those people who have a particular gene, I don't know how it's called, but it gives a indication that you may be more prone, maybe 30 or 50% more prone to dementia or to Alzheimer's than when you don't have that gene. But there is something very very promising research. And it's when it comes to gene therapy. it's called gene splicing and gene correction. It's not quite available yet. I don't believe so, but it's very, very promising. And let me show you this book that actually made me aware of it. And of course, I have, you know, when I feel that something is really, really important to read over and over, it's and this is something, this is an institute in the Sperling Medical Group in Delray Beach in Florida. And they do such amazing things. But anyway, it's from this book here, Tony Robbins' Life Force. And also from a book of Tim Ferriss, I think it's called Titans. I read about this amazing gene therapy that's really moving forward so fast. And it's amazing because I always said that the best longevity program is to know what you should eat for your body. And first of all, I mean, to know what's available. Eating for your particular body is very, very important too, but also know what is available. And longevity means don't die. Keep your body healthy enough so that you can get older and older. And science is really developing this longevity a program that you probably can easily live to be 120 and not be senile and not be sick and not be, not mobile and sad and depressed or whatever. No, with just, yes, and with zest and with energy. So, but, you know, it made me aware. And as I told you, I really made this commitment to myself that I will take even better care of my body. I am already taking good care of my body. I mean, after all, I'm a naturopathic doctor, right? And I should know, and specializing in healthy aging. So what I suggest and recommend for my clients, if I don't practice that myself, I'm a hypocrite. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I do actually do myself what I preach. I'm not perfect. Of course not. Nobody is. But I always come back and do the best. Not the best I can, the best I make the right commitment to. Because without that commitment, it's easily not done. Something that is easy can be easily done and easily not done. I always remember that. So I think we have established that exercise is paramount. And even though I ran marathons, yes, I even ran the New York Marathon twice, and once under 4 hours when I was 42. But anyway, and have always been a good athlete. I know that especially my marathon running did a number on my legs and my hips. So I do not recommend marathons as a way of healthy exercising, okay? What I have been developing after studying body dynamics and having been a massage therapist and body worker, together with my knowledge in nutrition, I'm also, I have a certificate in nutrition. I'm a nutritionist. And disease prevention as a naturopathic doctor, what I found was that short and intense exercises are much better for us as we age. It is amazing that you only need, I would say you need even less than 15 minutes of intense exercises to build muscle. And most of all, tune up your metabolism, tune up and turn up your metabolism, and of course increase the oxygen uptake in your body. So your heart, also your heart variability, heart rate variability, to practice that. So God forbid, if something should happen, if you would have a horrific message that shocks you, like something that my sister is going through right now, this could trigger a heart attack. You know, it actually could. And then if your heart is not trained, and the best way to train it is really those short and intense exercises. If your heart is not trained to be high to your maximum beat and then recover, it could lead into heart failure or heart attack. You don't want that, okay? So diets are very important as well. But have you gotten it with the short and intense exercise, how important that is? And I have developed actually a 9-minute program, which is part of the membership that I am preparing. Your Radiant Life After 45 membership club, where I already mentioned something in an earlier episode, that I believe that the trinity of life is your knowing who you are, that's your self-knowledge, your spirituality, your physical health, know your body, know what your body is telling you, and your relationships. And your relationships are the relationships with yourself first and then with others. So part of knowing your body and being healthy and living healthy, in this program, there will be these exercises that I'm developing, testing it out on myself and with my clients. And they are so amazing. They are so promising. So if you want to become part of that, to understand your body better and your mind and have better relationships, maybe you want to first come into my free Facebook group, which is called Radiant Life After 45 Club. And I'm just building it now. And I think I just started a couple of days ago, and I have 15 members so far. But I want to increase it to have 100, maybe 200, 300, and even more members, because that's where I share all of my knowledge, my golden nuggets. And that's where we can come together and experience what we are experiencing and support each other and get this new incredible knowledge. Okay, so anyway, this is it for me today. I am always so grateful when you spend this time with me, and I hope you got something that you needed to hear today. You needed to hear because you took the time, your precious time, to listen and maybe even made notes, and it will improve your life. It will bring up maybe an epiphany or a spark, or you will, because you got an insight, maybe a little golden nugget from me, you change something for the better. Okay, so this is really all I have for you today. And I really, really enjoyed every time I have an audience here. And I have to say goodbye right now. Bye-bye for now.